Edo State Governor Senator Monday OKPEBHOLO reaffirmed say in government go continue to focus on policies and programs wey go benefit Edo people. The governor yarned this one for one stakeholder sensitization meeting where them tag exposing the policy trust of Governor Monday OKPEBHOLO's administration. The event where they organized by the Edo State Ministry of Information and Communication joined body with Edo State government shele for New Festival Hall, Government House, Benin City. Ogbonge stakeholders wey show face for the meeting now: security agencies, Chairman of Nigeria Union of Journalists (NUJ) Edo State Council, drivers unions, civil society organizations and staff of the ministry, among others. The governor, wey dey represented by the head of service Dr. Anthony Okugbawa, con hail the ministry for arranging this kind platform wey go help stakeholders understand wetin government dey do. E con tok say dis administration sabi the importance of stakeholders and go always put Edo people first for all im programs. E con still tok say,
Mr. Governor is an action governor, and of course, you have seen very clearly over the last 3 months and about 7 days, evidence of the action person that Mr. Governor is. Several programs and projects and policies have been brought on board, and we're very excited, particularly those of us in the civil and public service, to have the governor that we have. Mr. Governor does not speak much, but he does a lot. And so I'm going to try to follow his footsteps this morning by not talking too much, other than to just welcome you again to this program. Government can do a lot. Government, this administration has done a lot within less than 3.5 months. But beyond that, because government exists to protect the interests of the citizens, it's important that everything that government does, the citizens get to know. And any government that attempts to do things without pulling the citizens along with it is obviously on the wrong trajectory. And so this government recognizes the importance of stakeholders, the importance of the citizens of the state, from whom government even got its legitimacy in the first place, to be carried along in the scheme of things. And so I would, on behalf of the governor, appreciate the ministry, the Honorable Commissioner, the Permanent Secretary, and the Ministry of Communication and Information for this program, which is aimed at sensitizing the stakeholders, all of us who are part of government, because in reality, government is the people. So we must know what government is doing. We must know the trajectory that government is taking us. We must know the direction in which government is going, so that we can have a buy-in into it, and if possible, be able to drive government policies and programs and projects. That is why this is happening today. And as you heard from him, we're going to have speakers, some of whom are within government, and others vice and interns from the private sector, particularly the academia. And it's our hope and expectation that at the end of the day, the policy trust of this administration will be crystallized, and you'll get to know exactly how we're going and what we intend to do.
For in welcome address, Commissioner for Information and Communication, Honorable Paul Ohonbamu, come here and say this meeting na to show say Governor OKPEBHOLO believes say government na for service to the people, not be for chop alone. He come also chook mouth on top the governor's achievement for different sectors within just 100 days for office, and say Edo State don enter a road to progress and development and not go ever turn back again.
We talk of 100 days policy trust of an uncommon governor of Edo State, who has done a lot in 100 days. It's not enough for people to say the governor has done a lot, but we still have the duty to talk to ourselves, the policy trust, drive it down so that people can have a buy-in. The whole essence is to know that Governor Monday OKPEBHOLO believes that government must be for governance and not for looting. We have seen politics of illusions. We have seen arrogance of power. We have seen trivialization of people's rights. Rights are given on one platform and are breached on another. We have even seen the pathological fixation on the capture and use of raw powers by largely corrupt power elites. But we have a governor who says no to some of these vices, and is here doing his work. The acronym for everything he is doing is SHINE. And you know, SHINE, the project SHINE, S represents security, H, healthcare, I for infrastructure, N for natural resources, which encompasses agriculture and food sufficiency, and of course, E for education. This, he has said, is determined to do. In infrastructure, he has done a lot. Of course, you know, the Ramat Park flyover is one of them. When we talk of flyover now, beyond the aesthetic nature, beyond the fact that it can ease traffic, we are also talking of the economy, because to construct a bridge or a flyover bridge, as in this case, is to reinvent commerce. Along that whole corridor, you know that commerce will boost again. These are the issues. Today, we have panelists, renowned professors, global scholars, activist intellectuals. Two of them are here. We have the Commissioner for Education, Dr. Paddy Yamo, has done a lot in the course of all this. This thing, we all dwell in our inner recesses, buried in our beliefs and desires, so that we know that indeed Edo State is on the irreversible path of progress. That's the essence. So I want to welcome all of you and thank you. In spite of what happened yesterday, we are still here to do what is necessary for us. We are to hold the praise worship after the beautiful event at the Victor Waifo Center yesterday. We are to hold it at the stadium, but something happened, calamity. One of the marks on the stadium fell and we lost some. And that is why the governor just said today we should go ahead, and the HOS is here to tell us what the governor has for the Ministry of Information and Communication, as for Edo people, and as for all good people. Don't forget that the governor, when he came, he has repealed the Edo State Secret Court Prohibition Law of 2018, which the former government enacted. And when you say you repeal a law, thank God Dr. Kubawa is here. I'm a lawyer too. Incidentally, we were called to bar the same day. So when you say you repeal a law, it means there's nothing in that law to be amended. It is bad and bad, true and true. You see, punishments in the law tend to be just slap on the wrist. Nothing at all. So with this present law, it is called Edo State Secret Court and other similar activities prohibition, not just the secret court. There are some people who are not courtists, but their activities are diametrically the same with those who are in court. People who control guns yet cannot shoot. People who obstruct justice yet they recommend the law. People who have as their own, a primary weapon of choice, violence and force. These all people, they are covered by the law. And to strengthen it further, beyond 21 years imprisonment, whichever, when fatality goes in death, beyond that, you stand the risk of losing your property. And that is the defining thing. No one, if you look at Frederick Engel's work, Origin of the Family, Private Property and State, no one wants to lose his property. As devilish as Niccolo Machiavelli was, you see his prince, he even advised leaders of principalities and heads of government to stay away from people's wives and their properties. And he concluded it by saying, men sooner forget the death of their fathers than the loss of their patrimony. So this law says you will lose your property.
Other stakeholders wait and that for the sensitization meeting. Contact say,
I have the education where I am, presently presiding as commissioner. Well, the list is endless. The achievement of the governor is visible, is practical for everyone to see. And I'm so excited to be part of this government because we have a governor who is not a talker but a doer. As you saw yesterday, if you on the news, the print and social media, there were a lot of vehicles being given to the security agencies. We have schools being built. We have the healthcare, which my honorable commissioner here will also highlight on. But let me just narrow it down now to the education sector, where I preside. When we came on board, we met a very bad infrastructural level across our schools. You can see students sitting in classrooms without chairs, without windows, without doors. We visited some schools, both across the senatorial district, and what we saw was quite alarming. And immediately the governor gave the clear-cut instruction that those schools, every school and every child in Edo deserves a right to quality education in good schools. We have started the construction of new schools, renovation of the old ones, so that our students can learn well. We have specific instructions from him. You can see the Ile Primary School, you can see the Eweka Primary School, you can see the Ira Girls Primary School, we have a Roma Primary School. Serious work is ongoing to ensure that every Edo child has access. Yesterday, 3 days ago, we launched the Edo Set program, where every child can have access to accessible and reliable certificate printing, if I may use that language. The idea or the era of you going into school, you write exam, you're looking for the manual certificate is gone. Once you impute your student ID, your certificate will be in your palm. For parents that are in Nigeria, outside the country, there's no barrier. We went on to assessing the schools. If you have a good structure without teachers, you have wasted your effort. The governor again gave a clear-cut direction that we should employ the first tranche of teachers, and now the first 500 are going to be injected into the system in the coming days. We looked again at the AAU situation. Some students went to school, no induction, haven't gone through the medical college. They cried to the governor, and in his magnanimity, he told us these students must be inducted. We went to Abuja, met with the Medical and Dental Council. We cleared all the bottlenecks, and 2 weeks ago, the students were inducted into the medical college and their medical doctors. Again, we looked at our technical colleges. You know, the United Nations Labour Department gave a projection that about 31% of our children between the ages of 5 to 13 are into child labor because of lack of education, accessible education. So we are changing the narrative. We are ensuring that the children are not being subjected to the labor market. Because in turn, we can give room to criminality. Thank God the members of the security agencies are here. If we have good adults, if we nurture our children and they are well educated, they have clear-cut vision in their lifetime, it will reduce the burden on the security agencies. Because instead of going to think of how to be a cultist, how to go and carry arms, they'll be thinking of ways to better society. We looked at the technical colleges again, and we did a needs assessment. We have a syllabus that is not up to date. We want to be able to produce children that will go to the technical colleges, and when they come out of the technical colleges, they should be able to produce seats. We are building schools across Edo. It's not a bad thing if students from the technical colleges are able to produce the seats that they will sit on. It's an embarrassment that they will be building somewhere like the Radisson Blue, and they will import people from outside into Edo State to come and be carrying out menial jobs that children can do. We are reviewing the syllabus as we speak, and in the coming days, we're going to roll out the syllabus. Our children should be able to go to school and come out and not just be employers of labor, but they should be able to be useful to themselves and the state. So we are building bridges. We want to build our youthful population that we can be proud of. Let me use that phrase. Again, teachers that have been in the system, no promotion. The governor again approved the the promotion of over 8,000 of them. So these are laudable feats that, please clap for him. We did a list assessment again in the technical colleges. Teachers, we still have people who are employed, who are in the system with I know you. I said no, that era is going to change. If we're talking about bringing out students that can be useful to us as a state and to themselves and the society, we should be able to have good teachers that will instill the required knowledge in those children. The governor again gave approval for another 100 teachers to be employed, and the process again is being followed as we speak to ensure that we will not be importing the Togolese to come and be doing our POPs. We will not be importing people from outside to come and be doing welding work. By virtue of my background, I have some good experience in the oil and gas sector. If you are trained as a qualified welder and you get an employment in Chevron or Shell or Mobil as an underwater welder, I bet you, even we commissioners will be coming to your house when you're in town. So we want to be able to build a structure. When you see on the social media, you see many technical colleges that, oh, it's very fine, it's this, da, 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 da. We have machines procured with the state government money since 2019 that have not been installed. They're just lying down, not installed. So what are the essence? So these are things that we are looking at, and at the end of the day, we are going to ensure that all our youths are gainfully employed. I can see some of my girls in the hall from some of our schools. Please celebrate yourself. Yeah. We looked again the cases of rape. We have children that are in school. A lecturer wants to take advantage of a student, and we told them that you are supposed to be guardian counselors and not predators. The children are supposed to be protected and not molested. So again, we launched the Girl Child Initiative, Protect the Girl Child Initiative, where we preach the message of protection of every girl child across those schools. And anyone who is found to be molesting or abusing any of our girls, we're going for it. We have invoked the VAP laws, and that has also been upheld in this administration. We also looked at the infractions across our schools. You have people extortion from here, we have people abusing, and we created a help desk where if you have any issue, you can call in, and it's not in the hands of any other person, it's in the commissioner's office. So we can have a one-on-one channel between the ministry and parents and students in the states to get information on how we can better equip our students and eradicate infractions that will lead to the destruction of the fabric of education in the state. So the list is endless.
In every society, there are great ideas that stir the soul of men to do great things. I know in our country today we don't indulge in the absolute debate about ideology. However, what this government had done in the last 100 days may be unknown to it. Maybe nobody has paid attention to that. There is a concept we call the greatest good for the greatest number. That concept derives from an English philosopher who lived between 1743 and 1853 called Jeremy Bentham. Jeremy Bentham propounded a moral theory. It's a philosopher. We call it political utilitarianism. And he said the most effective governments are governments that deliver projects that benefit the majority of the people. That the business of government is to confer happiness. In other words, what we have seen in the 100 days are projects that are essentially tailored to benefit the ordinary people. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? That's a concept of social democracy. I know it's not too familiar with some of our people here. However, it is not new. It's a concept that has reigned for centuries. If I take it closer home. The great political leaders we have had in Nigeria who have transformed their society have adopted that concept of delivering greater happiness to the greatest number of people. And there are ways to explain, there are social psychological rules to those activities you have seen. So when the country now talked about education, he may not have noticed it himself, that the impact of the policies and programs and outcomes we are carrying out in education benefit the ordinary people, not members of the elite. My children are not in the schools where you control. But what is the import of that? The import of that, Honorable Commissioner of Information and High School Scholar, is a man called Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire published a book they call The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. It was published 75 years ago. And that book says, Paulo Freire insisted that it is the business of government to ensure that it did not create a permanent underclass. What is a permanent underclass? You have children, you have people without ambition, giving birth to children without aspiration. So when you talk about security challenges, that's where it starts. When you have a permanent underclass, people who have no ambition, they give birth to children who have no aspiration. You should be ready for crime. So when you deal with those issues that affect the ordinary people, there is something that derives from it. The governor is not here, so I'm going to speak behind his back. You have, in literature, we have a debate about leadership. We ask questions sometimes. Does the character of the leader have any impact on deliverance or performance of public duties? Of course, we talk about leadership time, we talk regime time and all of that. One thing I noticed during the campaigns, I'm not here, I'm in Abuja, so I'm able to see some of these things a bit more objectively than those of you who are directly involved. We had a man in government as leader of our state who pulled himself up by the bootstraps when apparently there was nobody to provide him with the books. Therefore, when you have a leader that is one of us, an ordinary person, and meant from the ordinary people, he tends to be interested in what benefits the ordinary person. When you have leaders who are shaped by the tough forces of society, of nature, they tend to be more democratic, they tend to listen more. So if you're asking for what forces are driving these policies and programs we have seen, I've tried to isolate the principles of social democracy. And I restricted myself to Jeremy Bentham. For those of you who are interested, you will find a lot of interest about this. There's actually an article published in the Journal of Happiness that deals with some of these issues I'm talking about. Another one is that the character of the individual we have at the helm of affairs is also shaping these policies. We hope that this endures, because there are challenges. For those of you who are in government, you should know this. There are challenges. There are a lot of temptation for the headship of a government, of a thing. There are people who might take advantage, there are also people who might push to the extreme binary, to be hurting and all of that. We hope all this endures.
It's an interesting time. We are living in interesting times. We are seeing dynamics. We are seeing dialectics. We are seeing transformations. Just yesterday, maybe this is February. By maybe up to, let me see, August, even September last year, a lot of lamentation was going on. A lot of lamentation. I work in Aisa State, Federal University of Turkey. I stay in my corner there, following my state's development. And sometimes I send text messages to some close friends and leaders. So what do we do? How do we do this? They will thank God. Thank God. As if God said, wait, because the suddenness of transformation is sometimes difficult to really understand. But again, that is how God works. Quite a number of things have been achieved here. First of all, let me go to education, back to it, because that is the basis. The state of ours, since the time of Midwest down to Bender, down to Edo, our people are known for striving for higher ITs, for education. We also the transformative work of our great leader, the late Professor Ambuzali here, took us to that height. And all of a sudden, the university, which Professor Ambuzali founded, way back in Haiti, the university that is our pride, collective pride of the Edo people. When that university was founded, we can look back to 3 or 4 other universities in the state, in this country that was founded by that time. Now, Novajo University, Bishop Novajo University in Ogun State. Then there is University of Science and Technology in Port Harcourt. These are the contemporaries of Ambuzali University. The mates. You need to go to these campuses and see development. You will be ashamed as a Duma that if these universities were founded at the same time without university, instead what we see was the gradual killing of that university until God answered our prayer and brought Governor OKPEBHOLO. I'm not shy about it. Last week I went to that university for an external examination to examine postgraduate thesis. I was happy because I saw a new face and I interacted with some professors. Now, the first thing that the government did that made me really happy and said, look, this is where to go. Immediately in that, the cries and use of that university, colleagues of us dismissed for asking that the university should be developed, were called back. There is a fund, they call it government funding. I saw 41 million naira, but taken to 500 million at this time. What are we talking about? I said, God, so this is possible that a Coast University can receive 500 million monthly as government? I said, what are we talking about? Now, please, I still saw shanty buildings. I take them out. Those shanty structure along there, you can't find them in Onobanjo University. You can't find them in roofs in Port Harcourt. Those, please, I want to encourage the government. Those shanty structures should be pulled down and superstructure put there, and I know he's going to do it. And we must encourage him to do it because that university is our pride. It's the pride of Edo people. So I also looked again. Another area I'm interested in, still in education. Honorable Commissioner, you mentioned Hussein just now. Beautiful. Hussein too has been suffering for quite a while, if you can recall. Lecturers not paid. Please, I want to bring that to your notice. Please, sir, Your Excellency, you can do it. I know you can do it. Take this message back for you that all the outstanding salaries of lecturers there, academics and academic staff, you should clear it. And that will make that political. I mean, you said they are already accrediting HND courses. You can imagine that. And that is another world-class polytechnic that can compete any polytechnic in Nigeria or elsewhere. So please, we can do it. So you can see that the door is on the march again, and we must celebrate that. As far as I'm concerned, these are things that we should come to. Now, the other thing I want to quickly mention, sir, before we maybe take note for me. Primary health centers. Primary health centers, which you find in the villages, communities, in the local government. Some of them are just, and that is not peculiar to our state. It's a national phenomenon, and I think it shouldn't be where those primary health centers are abandoned. Are you following me? No nurses, no health workers administering, responding to patients and what have you. And that is the beginning of health care treatment. Primary health center, before you move to the secondary and tertiary. So please, I saw in part of the program that His Excellency has given about 220 laptops to primary health center. Beautiful. But please, beyond that, I want him to rebuild those primary health centers. Appoint, get nurses, doctors, patrons in our village, in our rural areas where our brothers and sisters are living. That those are the people who actually do the production of the food that we consume in the urban center. They must be catered for. And please, Your Excellency, you should take special interest in reorganizing, rebuilding those primary health centers. Let me tell you one thing about primary health centers. It can also be one or two of the ways in which we generate jobs for our people. Because, for example, I work in Otweke, I live in Otweke. At Otweke, that is the, remember our former president, President Jonathan, that is the village. The primary health center in his village there are nurses, other health workers. In short, itself, it provides job for people. And then you see the women coming in there. So please, it's a source of
creating job opportunities. It's also a sort of ministering to the head of our citizens. So that too should be taken very seriously.
Prof, as regards primary health care, we have to understand that government cannot do it alone. In Edo State, we have 515 primary health care centers, 515. And with the issue of Japa syndrome, people are moving abroad, globalization, even doctors in Europe are migrating to America. So there's always going to be migration because of globalization. People go for better job opportunities and better work conditions. What we tend to do in Edo State is, in his wisdom, I've decided to introduce a bill to the House in which we increase the age of retirement from 60 years to 70 years. In that note, we'll be able to keep the well-experienced doctors, because we know medicine is an art. The more you practice, the more you get the experience. So to encourage the highly skilled doctor with experience, we want to increase the retirement age. And then for the other ones as well, His Excellency is trying to come up with a model in which each health facility we have a sharing formula in terms of profits, that some percentage will go to the physicians in addition to their salary. We're also looking at technology, because it's not even possible to find doctors to mount those primary health care centers. Where will you get the doctors? So on account of this, we are looking at telemedicine, in which we have telemedicine in each of these primary care centers. I've been making consultation with people, Nigerians in diaspora, and even local indigenous companies, telecompanies. But in terms of the telemedicine, what we intend to do is that each health facility that has a telemedicine, even if it's 1,000 naira you're paying for consultation, the doctors can be in Europe and America, can be in Nigeria here. I've met some doctors who are willing to give their services pro bono, while those in Nigeria may want to collect money. So even if you are charging 1,000 naira per patient, imagine you have 50 patients a day, and in most cases more than 50 patients. You're looking at 3,000 naira. In a month, you're looking at 1.5 million naira. That money used to develop particular PhDs, because there's no way government will have all the funding. What we are doing now is getting money from World Bank, and this money we have to pay over time. Currently, His Excellency, we are renovating 61 primary care centers. We just finished doing 6, and that is the first phase. There's going to be a phase 2. So telemedicine will bridge the gap. You can talk to a doctor in Texas, you can talk to a doctor in Australia. Most of us are Nigerians in diaspora, want to give back to society for free. So when we provide the enabling environment, we'll be able to use these resources to also use to repair the primary care center. Talking about social contracts. In 1689, John Locke wrote a book on treaties of government, in which we have a contract between the people and the governed. In terms of Edo State, right, our very distinguished, amiable, dynamic, visionary governor, Senator Monday OKPEBHOLO, has a social contract with the people. During his campaign, he talked about affordable healthcare, accessible healthcare. And on this note, it might interest you to know that in terms of healthcare, it has to be financially affordable, geographically accessible. And that means that Ministry of Health cannot stand alone. We have to go in conjunction with the Ministry of Works, because you have to have good roads to access these healthcare facilities. In terms of policies, looking at the education aspect too, like recently, a two cornerstone was the facilitation of a national obstetric center, the only one in South Nigeria. Talking about obstetric fistula is globally a Nigerian problem. We have vesical vaginal fistula, we have rectal vaginal fistula. The first one, there's communication between the bladder and the vagina, while the other one has to do with the rectum. Globally, Nigeria accounts for 40% of vesico-vaginal fistula globally. 40% is in Nigeria. And looking at our culture, not in which we have early marriages, lack of education, that's why we need education. I'm happy Commissioner of Education is doing well. We have to enlighten our people to discourage early marriages. Poverty, lack of access to health care. Now, most of the problems associated with VVF, for example, prolonged obstructed labor, talking about gender violence, rape children, trauma, so many factors. And essentially, in his wisdom, this is a project that has been ongoing for more than 8 years. An immediate temporary site by donating a primary care center here in Benin City for the immediate takeoff of this obstetric fistula center. So mind you, most of the people coming there from South, but Edo State indigenes have that home advantage of having that accessible health care. We are lucky that in Edo State we have so many federal government hospitals, whether medical centers, orthopedic center, so many of them. Talking about quality health care, apart from it, accessible, affordable, talking about quality health care. The Edo Specialist Hospital before now did not have a ventilator in the intensive care unit, ICU. You can imagine a hospital without a ventilator. But I'm talking to you now, we have 2 ventilators in that hospital. More than 100 days in office. Talking about accessibility, affordability. Most of these hospitals, like the ESH, was run by consultancy. And the amount of money that was used to maintain consultancy administrative costs was transferred to the patient. But yesterday, in his wisdom, disengaged the agreement on consultancy and now is giving back to Edo people. This will actually affect the price. Talking about monopoly, before now we only had one company supplying medications in our hospitals. A drug that will cost 700 naira in the market, it end up selling it for 2,000, 2,500 because nobody will compete with them because they are governor's friends. But now the governor tried to make it an open market bidding in which the price will crash and everything will be good for us. Now, there's one thing that we are not really talking much about, that is the free malaria program sponsored by the Islamic Development Bank. Nigeria accounts for 30% of malaria burden globally. Africa accounts for 95% of malaria burden globally. Almost 600,000 people die of malaria annually, while Nigeria accounts for 30% of that number. 2 weeks ago, His Excellency in his wisdom was able to flag up a free malaria testing and treatment for the next 2 years. So you can imagine a disease that Nigeria is number 1, 30% of the global incidence of malaria is Nigeria. And Edo State is giving free treatment for malaria and testing, and as well as providing training for our healthcare professionals. As you speak, in the 192 wards of Edo State, we have 1 mobilizers for the next 1 or 2 years. These mobilizers will be paid salary. So imagine that it also comes with income. No matter how small it's going to have stipend for them, and monthly for the next 1 or 2 years. So, like I said, the vision of our governor is people-centered policies. His Excellency cannot do it alone. We need the legislature to work hand in hand with the governor, with our governor. For example, passing a bill to increase the retirement age, making funding accessible even to primary health care. Even our community leaders and religious leaders, we have to talk about healthy living, healthy healthcare seeking behavior. Discourage unwanted pregnancies, early marriages, because all this is what leads to the VVF. So it's a communal effort. The governor cannot do it alone. And talking about what drives His Excellency, he's always saying that his sister died because of bad water. So he had that passion, that drive from his own personal life experience, that when God, that even before now, there is no local government in Eastern that His Excellency have not done a borehole. That shows the kind of person that he is. How much more now that he has the power of the boss to make things happen. So I can assure you that His Excellency is a man of vision. He's a transformational leader. He's a selfless leader. He's a leader you can rely on. Like I said, he has kept to his own part of the social contract.
Make una no forget say, as we see am, na so we dey talk am. We know the take blame. From Government House, Benin City, Ekata Ojisele, TMC TV News.